The Monday Brief is here in Dallas with Douglas McKee and our friend, Greg Richardson. This is a very nice opportunity to be together. Actually, maybe this is the first time that we are together.
It's a pretty rare opportunity for all three of us to be here. Yeah.
Right? And the first time that since we started the Monday Brief. So
absolutely. Since we started the Monday Brief, first time.
Yeah. We wanted to use this opportunity to have a conversation with our friend, Greg. Greg, should I introduce you as a AI strategy coach, keynote speaker, all things AI? Because you do a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, all of those is good. Probably the best way to introduce me at this point is kind of something related to AI. And the reason I lean into that is because, as you know, all three of us, for those who don't know, we've all worked in cybersecurity for very, very, very long. And I think we all met at one of the big cybersecurity companies. Some have more gray hair
than others.
Some has more gray hair than others. But we all met at one of the big cybersecurity companies. Back in the day, they were probably the biggest. And what's interesting about working in cybersecurity, what I found interesting at the very, very big firms is they started using AI easily 20, 25, 30 years ago. So because I worked in cyber, I got exposed to AI, 20 years ago, long before ChatGPT and Claude and Anthropic and all that kind of stuff. So I'm now leveraging that experience of the hands-on building out dashboards and, doing machine learning and TensorFlow and all of that fun stuff that we used in cyber for doing stuff like creating signatures and detecting indicators
we used to call
of
this machine learning.
Right, exactly. That stuff I am now trying to help because I've seen the difficulties of a regular business trying to integrate, this fairly new technology into their operations. I'm trying to help regular businesses with that. So AI guy, AI talk about guy.
See, I knew it would be like a long introduction. Well, before we say we go down that route, just saying that we are here to support some friends.
We are,
right? Yeah. The launch of SecuFusion, which is a local company, right, here in Dallas, and we're supporting their launch today. We're going to be talking about Think Red, Act Blue. I guess I missed the memo, right? We had the red.
It's blue,
right? Something, bluish, and then purple.
Yeah, so, perfect.
Yeah, we will add some details on the launch and the video as well of for our participation there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Maybe not everybody knows what Think Red, Act Blue is all about, right?
Definitely.
And so, just to talk about that for a second, I think Ismael, you originally you coined the term, which was really there's only one thing that sets us apart from the threat actors, and it's not that we think differently. In fact, we're forced to think the same way. If we're going to be effective in the industry, we have to think the same way the threat actors do. But what makes the difference is the action that we do on the backside, right? And so Think Red, Act Blue is all about being inside the mind of an attacker, thinking the same way, taking the same steps, but then using that to strengthen our defenses. And that's going to be the theme tonight at the launch that we talk about. And I think it's an important theme when we're talking about AI as well.
Do you think, Greg, that changes with AI? Like the whole paradigm of, okay, let's see what attackers are doing. And then, according to that, like let's plan defensively or let's act defensively based on that? Do you think the paradigm changes?
The paradigm doesn't change at all. It's been, and Doug and I have spoken about this a lot on other podcasts Doug and I have done together. Whether they've made it to the public sphere or not, it's a different conversation. But they're there.
More to come.
They're there. Yeah, more to come. The paradigm hasn't shifted at all. It's the exact same thing. You got to think like how the attacker is thinking. It was that way in the age of, Al Capone and bank robbers running into banks with Tommy guns. You got to think how the attacker is thinking so that you can mitigate what the attacker is doing. What AI has allowed or helped both the attacker and the defender side, we can execute faster and we can execute, and this is the big one in my opinion, we can execute at scale faster. So if you're a lone attacker, you can now spin up 2 or 3 or 4 AI bots that are autonomously doing stuff for you, sending out emails, pinging, doing discovery across the internet, whatever have you. Whereas in the, 5 years ago, you'd be doing that yourself. So it allows you to scale more. It should also allow the defenders, the blue, to scale more. And I think it does. Where we always, and this is a frustration for me somewhat, where we've always missed the mark in cybersecurity on the defense side, on our side, is we don't work well together. So I've found it exceptionally encouraging that, we are now no longer at the same companies. As a matter of fact, I think none of us are at the same company, but we've always managed to stay in touch and collaborate and work together. That needs to be a theme we see in the industry more, especially with the onset of things like AI.
I do think that you're absolutely right about the collaboration and working thing. I do like to say, for someone that's always been on the vulnerability side of things and doing disclosures, I mean, that's what I do right now. I'm in the middle of several of them. It has gotten better. We are doing better at working together. And but there's still a lot of room for improvement. Switching topics slightly here for a second. One of the things that we talk a lot about on the Monday brief is the geopolitical climate, right? And so I'd be interested, as someone that is knee deep in AI, and I know that you've helped in certain government situations and had meetings on AI. What is your perspective on, when we're talking about defense of different nations? I don't even mean necessarily this nation, but how is AI changing the geopolitical climate?
That's a phenomenal one. AI from a political sphere is changing the climate because it allows governments specifically to play catch up in a way that they haven't been able to in a lot of decades. Generally, this is a generalization. No one come at me in the comments. Generally, governments lag pretty heavily from a technological perspective. In the cybercrime space, it's the same thing. There's one government that I'm working with right now, still in real time, that's making a huge fuss out of the fact that they just changed their route switch capability. I'm not going to say the name of the vendor, but we all know the vendor. Route switch capability. Right, exactly. And this is 2026, guys. They just figured out that we should be getting next-gen firewalls. So firewalls that are not trying to do security based on ports. 2026. Wow. That is not uncommon for governments at all. And they're treating this like this is earth-shattering for us. AI allows them to suddenly leapfrog. Now, I'm not talking about the next-gen firewall stuff. They're backwards on that. It is what it is, period. But AI allows them to, in their SOC environments, at their endpoint structure, at their vulnerability tracking, measuring, and mitigating, across every framework of security, AI can allow them to suddenly accelerate really, really quickly.
Well, that's very interesting. And you do a lot of work not only with enterprise and large governments, but also with like local organizations, right? And, because I guess we work with enterprise, we typically talk about those things, but how do you see, AI and in particular the intersection of AI and cybersecurity affecting like the mom and pop shop? You work with a lot of local businesses, right? What are their concerns and how is this helping, if it's helping, maybe to democratize, security that otherwise would not be accessible to them?
Yeah, that's actually interesting. And I know you don't know this, so I find it very uncanny that you bring it up. That's actually my passion. My passion is helping the SMBs. I literally just got back from South by Southwest, and there's this company called Future Predict or Future Tech or something like that. They just had almost $1 billion exit. These guys are crazy wealthy, but their side project that they were working is two guys with almost $1 billion exit. I was like, give me some, but I didn't really say that. But these two guys, their pet project has been working on, and they started this with the stock market. How can they predict? How can they use AI to predict, stock pricing so they can become uber billionaires? And they very quickly said, it doesn't work. They've tried it now for 2 or 3 years. They're PhDs, like these are technical guys. Said it doesn't work, but what they can do is simulate. So they're now doing world building to simulate stuff. And in all of their simulations, there's a hook to this. In all of their simulations, what they found is the biggest unknown, the biggest black swan event is going to be, they simulate in SMB space because there is no valid data for it. There is there's really good data for public companies. They're 10Ks, et cetera, that you can map out and see, okay, when XYZ CEO comes to the stage and says such and such, it has this effect on the stock, it causes this in the market, attackers do this. They don't have that for SMB. And the collective size of the SMB market worldwide is bigger than the enterprise or the gov side.
That's a missed fact. Almost everybody does it. We'll only talk about big business.
Exactly.
But it's a missed fact. the world is majority made up of
Small
businesses.
companies,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
I think it's like 100 to 1 or something like that.
Drastically.
It's
And that's where a lot of the money is being generated. It's been documented for decades now. That's what drives economies. So my passion is how can we help those SMBs, the ones here in Texas? Well, Doug and I live in Texas. You live up north. The ones
cool.
near us, the coffee shops, the plumbers, the this, the that. How can I help you guys get access to this super high tech technology at an affordable rate, at something that's doable? God forbid, nonprofits, churches, these are all huge vulnerability pots that don't have an inkling of a chance to call a Palo Alto Networks or a BlackBerry
about
or,
next generation
or anyone.
firewalls, right?
Yeah,
Like
let
exactly.
me riff on that. But let me riff on that for a
Right.
second. So I think when you're talking about nonprofits, you're talking about churches, you're talking about those style of businesses. I think what's often forgotten is when we talk about nation state level threat actors, right? They are actually not going after many points in time those highly secured infrastructures, right? I say this every time I talk publicly. Attackers are lazy. I know because I am one, right? What they do is they attack things like the nonprofits, like the charities, because all of those people from a human life perspective
Are there.
they interact with one of those organizations at one point or another. There was a story a while back on how they infiltrated a school system because I think it was a member of a government, their son went to that school, right? And they were able to compromise the laptop because the laptop was brought home. And now the laptop that was compromised at the school was brought into the home environment where the dignitary is. And then from there is how they kind of work their way back, right? And
we've
so,
seen that a lot with law firms, right? Like working on mergers and acquisitions, like
Yep.
dealing with the stock
where
exchange,
they're
like
gonna
go
attack.
after or even like a casualty, right? Like we have seen this with Striker recently.
Yep,
Like we
correct.
still don't
yeah,
know.
Stryker
Good
just
call.
Like
came out.
where they like talking about geopolitical, right? Bringing everything together.
In fact, we talk about Stryker in the last Monday brief issue. I believe
Correct.
the one that was released this week.
Yeah.
We highlight Stryker.
And we've had a lot of questions about that. I know MDM and into,
Yep.
but it's all there. Anyways, what I was thinking is, they may actually be a victim of a nation state, right? Maybe masqueraded as a, faketivists.
Yep.
And they may have nothing to do with any of this conflict. We still don't know, right? It's just a theory, but it's just about impact. It's just causing chaos. It's about and that can definitely impact the communities and the
Big
local
time.
businesses.
And you're reminding me too, in the last issue, we talk about the whole WhatsApp and Signal compromise and how, again, like that trusted layer. Well, WhatsApp and Signal, yes, is being used by business, but who is using it more than businesses who implicitly think it's everything they do over those channels are secure, right? And so it's going after, at some level, it's going after the smaller business or the average person to back its way into these more secure. And let's not overstate it. I'm not by any means saying these enterprises are locked down, because they're definitely not. That's why we have jobs. Thank you. But it's an easier way to back into the potential.
Yes. I mean, you can see that we were easily dragged into the techie, conversation and all of that. But going back to your interaction with the local businesses, I know you're also an author of a best-selling book on AI, right? What's been your experience with that? Like, have you learned anything from working in the enterprise, now working with these business owners of small organizations?
It's good.
What are they concerned about? And it may have nothing to do with what we are concerned about as people that have been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah, number one, and I'd be lying if I told you this was my master plan. It wasn't. It was my passion. It's what I felt, burning inside of me. Whether you credit that to God or luck or, the wind, or what I had for breakfast the morning before, totally up to you. I know why. I think I know why I wrote it that way, but it is what it is. My passion was not even directly focused at the small businesses, but the non-technical business leaders. How do we help those non-technical people to function effectively and efficiently in what is fundamentally becoming a more and more and more technically connected world? Like 10 years ago, let's say 15 years ago to be safe, you could have started a business and the first thing you do is not, let me set up a website. Today, you're setting up a business. This is probably the very, 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 very first thing you're thinking about. So if you have no inkling about the technology, and the vast majority of humans walking the face of Earth are not technical. Like I did study on this recently for a talk I'm getting ready to do. 0.04% of the world codes. 0.04%, and there's billions of people here.
That's actually larger than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
To be
So
honest.
everyone else, 99 point whatever, 006% doesn't code. Doesn't have it, like you say, Claude code to them, they've disconnected you. Yeah, but it's easy to speak to it. They don't care. It's not what their proclivity is.
Much
Yeah, but
less.
that's who I'm
Cybersecurity.
speaking. Well, exactly, much less. And don't worry about code. But I need you to think about IOAs and IOCs because they're come on, they do not care, and we're asking them to interact in that world. That's who my book was written for. It was, hey, as a non-technical person, what should you even be thinking about AI? Like, how should you even be thinking about, do I want this thing in my business or not?
Well, all I was going to say is the book, even though written for the non-technical person, as someone that's been technical for the majority of their adult life, I still got value out of reading that book. And I think the point of it is it's not always all about the technical aspect of it. It's about the process. It's about unpacking how you can leverage it. And to your point, to people that don't even use whatever percentage that was, the people in the world that code. What's crazy, bringing it back to the AI conversation, is all of those people now have the ability to code and they just don't know it.
Exactly.
Right. And I think that's a really interesting place that we're sitting in the world. What happens to the world economy and what happens to the society when even that gets brought up to 1%?
Yeah. Or you now have access, and again, allows you to scale in a way that you can't scale normally. You now have access to digital 24/7 employees that definitely can be technical concierges. You could definitely pick your favorite bot. I don't care what brand or flavor of bot it is. Pick your favorite bot. You could definitely pick a bot and say, hey, I need you, Mr. Bot, to be my marketing and landing page expert. And I need you to spin up landing pages for, 17 different approaches. I have one product. I'm not talking about me, but I'm a barber. All I do is cut hairs. I need 17 different landing pages for guys that want their haircuts, women that want their haircuts, women that want their husband's haircut. Spin them up for me. You could definitely do that nowadays.
Research.
Right. It'll do the marketing research. It'll tell you where to do the ads. It'll write the ads for you, and it'll spin up the technical component that you need, which is a web page. And you don't need to know anything about it.
Social media.
Right, all of it. And it'll literally be able to manage it all for you, or at least guide you towards, hey, these are the 17 ad pieces you need. Here's the content you need on the ad. These are the posts you should make. This is how often you should make it. And the post should point to these landing pages. I've created 17 different landing. You could not have done that 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. As non-technical as you might be, you now have access to that. Yeah. And we can help you think through that, and also think through, what else do I need to be thinking about from a security perspective, that I'm not just creating another problem for me to have to solve tomorrow when, all of my customers' private information is out on the internet because, oopsie, I didn't know I had to think about it. That's I think, where the soft underbelly of opportunity is, where the big companies, and I'm not picking on them, I think they can't bother to focus on it. It's amazing to me. I've worked for 4, I'm not going to call all of their names, very, very, very large cybersecurity players. Literally, one of them had anything related to a consumer group section, sales team that sells to consumers. None of the others even had that. Like, I've had consumers, I've had churches, I've had barbershops come up to me and say, Greg, we have money. We'd like to spend it. What can we buy? Bro, our smallest firewall costs $100,000. I got nothing for you. I'm sorry. You need to go somewhere else. And that's something that we really need to address.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. I think, I don't know if you have any other questions or topics.
I think I think that's a good wrap up. It's a rare opportunity that the Monday brief is together.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we got a chance to all sit down and talk about this. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage, the audience to continue reading and sharing the Monday brief if you enjoy it. And we're also going to link your book so we can, get more information about that. And of course, congratulating SecuFusion for their launch. And yeah,
It's gonna be a fun night.
It should be.
we should do another one. Let us know if you enjoyed this and if you want us to keep.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. We'll be happy to have Greg back some other time. Thank you so much.